She made a grown man kneel on the floor and beg for his job while 47 people watched. And when he started crying, she laughed. For 12 years, this billionaire's wife terrorized every restaurant, every hotel, every business she walked into. She got 23 people fired. She ruined 6 careers permanently. She made one woman so afraid that she moved to another country just to escape. Nobody challenged her. Nobody even tried. Until a broke, single mother with $43 in her bank account, 3 days from losing her apartment, and absolutely nothing left to lose, discovered something about this woman that was never supposed to be found. A secret so dark, so dangerous, that powerful people had spent millions keeping it buried. This is not a story about revenge. This is not a story about karma. This is a story about what happens when the wrong person pushes the right woman too far. And I need to warn you right now, this story has a twist in the middle that will make you pause this video and say out loud, "No way that's real." Stay with me until the end, because what this waitress discovered didn't just destroy one woman's reputation, it solved a mystery that had been haunting a family for 15 years. Welcome to Story Buddy, friend. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2 of this story. Trust me, you're going to need to see how this ends. Before we dive in, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. I see my people in Texas, in Florida, in New York, watching at 2 a.m. when they should be sleeping. I see you, and I love you for being here. Now let me tell you about a woman named Victoria Ashford Kaine and why an entire city learned to fear her. London has thousands of restaurants, but there's only one like the Emerald Room. This isn't the kind of place where you walk in and ask for a table. You apply for a reservation 6 months in advance. There's a waiting list for the waiting list. The cheapest wine costs £200. The most expensive meal on the menu isn't even priced. It just says, "Inquire." Crystal chandeliers that were made in Venice 300 years ago, silverware that belonged to actual royalty, waiters who train for 2 years before they're allowed to speak to customers. This is where London's elite come to see and be seen, where billion-dollar deals are made over dessert, where one bad review from the wrong person can end a career. And every Friday night at exactly 8 p.m. for 12 years straight, the same woman walked through those doors. Victoria Ashford Kaine. Wife of Marcus Ashford Kaine, the man who owned the largest pharmaceutical company in Europe. His drugs saved lives. His money built hospitals. His name was on university buildings. But Victoria, she built something different. She built an empire of terror. The staff called Friday nights Judgment Day. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. They actually called it that, because every Friday someone would be judged and someone would fall. Let me tell you about some of her victims. There was Thomas Chen, 24 years old, working his way through law school. He'd been at the Emerald Room for 2 years. Perfect record, not a single complaint. One Friday, his sleeve, not his hand, not his finger, his sleeve passed 6 inches above Victoria's water glass as he reached for an empty plate. She didn't just complain. She stood up in the middle of the restaurant and announced that he had contaminated her dining experience with his carelessness. Thomas apologized. He offered to get her a new glass. He offered to have the manager come over. Victoria smiled. "I don't want an apology," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I want you to kneel." The restaurant went silent. "Excuse me?" Thomas whispered. "You heard me. Kneel. Apologize properly. Show everyone here that you understand your place." Thomas looked around for help. The manager was frozen. The other staff were frozen. 47 customers watched, some horrified, some, I'm ashamed to say, entertained. Thomas had a choice, his dignity or his job. He needed that job. He had loans, he had rent, he had a mother back in Manchester who thought he was making it in London. Thomas Chen knelt on the floor of the Emerald Room. And Victoria Ashford Kaine laughed. Not a small laugh, a delighted laugh, the laugh of someone who had just won a game only she was playing. She still got him fired, said his presence made her uncomfortable, said she couldn't possibly return if he was still employed. Thomas left London 3 months later, couldn't find work anywhere. Word had gotten around, word had made calls. Last I heard, he gave up on law school entirely. That's one story. I could tell you 20 more. The sommelier who recommended an Italian wine and was accused of insulting her sophistication. The hostess who smiled the wrong way and was told she looked desperate and inappropriate. The young woman from the coat check who accidentally brushed Victoria's fur coat while hanging it up. Victoria demanded she be tested for diseases, actually demanded it, called it a reasonable precaution given the circumstances. This wasn't just cruelty, this was sport. And into this nightmare walked a woman named Maya Thompson. Maya was 34 years old, and 3 months ago her life had collapsed. She had been an investigative researcher for the London Tribune, one of the best in the business. For 8 years, she'd helped journalists uncover corruption, fraud, abuse of power. She'd contributed to stories that won awards, stories that put bad people in prison. Then the Tribune's investigation division got shut down. Budget cuts, digital transformation, corporate restructuring, a dozen fancy phrases that all meant the same thing. Maya was out. She'd spent 3 months looking for similar work. Nobody was hiring. Newspapers were dying. The skills she'd spent a decade perfecting were suddenly worthless. Her savings ran out, then her credit cards maxed out. Then the letters started coming. Eviction notices, final warnings, collections. She had a daughter, Lily, 7 years old, the light of Maya's life and the reason she couldn't fall apart, no matter how much she wanted to. So when Maya heard that the Emerald Room was hiring servers, she swallowed her pride and applied. She got the job, minimum wage plus tips. It wasn't enough to save her apartment, but it was enough to slow the bleeding. On her first day, an older waiter named Gerald pulled her aside. Gerald had worked at the Emerald Room for 22 years. His face looked like a map of all the battles he'd survived. "You seem smart," Gerald said quietly, "so I'm going to give you the most important advice you'll ever receive in this building." He pointed to the corner booth, the one with the slightly better lighting, the one that was always empty on Fridays until exactly 8 p.m. "That's her table, Victoria Ashford Kaine, wife of Marcus Ashford Kaine." Maya nodded. Everyone knew who Marcus Ashford Kaine was. "She comes every Friday," Gerald continued, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. "She will find something wrong. She always finds something wrong. It doesn't matter if you're perfect, she will find a flaw or invent one." He looked directly into Maya's eyes. "Do not engage. Do not argue. Do not defend yourself. Apologize, fix whatever she claims is broken, and pray she doesn't notice you. If she notices you, if she decides you're her target for the night, your career here is over, and possibly your career everywhere else, too." Maya felt ice form in her stomach. Is she really that powerful? Gerald's laugh was bitter. Last year, she got our head chef fired, Pierre Dubois. The man had 3 Michelin stars. He'd been here for 15 years. She claimed his sauce was pedestrian. 1 word, 1 complaint, and he was gone. He leaned closer. Her husband's company supplies pharmaceutical products to half the hospitals in England. The owner of this restaurant has a daughter with a chronic illness who depends on one of those drugs. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Maya understood. Victoria wasn't just cruelty. She was untouchable. "What do I do?" Maya whispered. "Survive," Gerald said. "That's all any of us can do. Survive." That first Friday, Maya watched from a safe distance. Victoria arrived at exactly 8 p.m., wearing a dress that cost more than Maya would earn in a year. Diamonds at her throat, diamonds on her wrists, diamonds in her ears. She moved like royalty entering a throne room. Her husband Marcus walked beside her, tall and distinguished, but tired. He had the look of a man serving a life sentence in a beautiful prison. Maya noticed something interesting about Marcus. While Victoria surveyed the room like a predator choosing prey, Marcus kept his eyes down. He didn't engage with anyone. He didn't make eye contact. He just followed his wife to their table and sat in silence. Maya had seen that look before. In her journalism days, she'd interviewed victims of psychological abuse. Marcus Ashford Kaine, one of the richest men in Europe, had that exact same look. That night, Victoria's target was a young server named Daniel. His crime? He asked if she wanted still or sparkling water, instead of simply bringing her still water with exactly one paper-thin slice of lime, the way she liked it, the way everyone was supposed to know she liked it. "How long have you worked here?" Victoria asked, her voice carrying across the restaurant. 3 weeks, ma'am." 3 weeks? And in 3 weeks, nobody told you how to properly serve this table? "I apologize, ma'am. I'll bring still water immediately." "That's not the point." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "The point is that this establishment has become sloppy, careless. They're hiring people who don't understand the basics of service." She turned to look at the manager, who had materialized like a ghost summoned by fear. "I want to speak with whoever trained this boy. Clearly, someone hasn't been doing their job." Maya watched the whole scene unfold. Daniel was trembling. The manager was apologizing. Other servers were frozen in place, terrified of drawing attention to themselves. And Victoria was smiling. She was enjoying this. That's when Maya felt something shift inside her, a familiar feeling, the feeling she used to get when she uncovered corruption, when she found evidence of abuse, when she saw powerful people hurting those who couldn't fight back. It was the feeling that always preceded her best work. Because Maya Thompson wasn't just a waitress who needed a job, she was an investigator who had temporarily lost her way. And this woman, this monster in diamonds, had just become very, very interesting. Now, friend, before I continue, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment right now. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. I want to know if you're in California watching at midnight, or in New York watching at 3 a.m., or somewhere else entirely. And tell me this, have you ever met someone like Victoria? Someone who used their power to hurt people just because they could? Because what Maya discovered about Victoria is going to shock you. But first, I need to tell you about the night everything changed. The night Victoria made Maya her target. It was Maya's 4th Friday at the Emerald Room. She'd been careful, invisible. She'd studied Victoria's preferences obsessively. Still water, 1 paper-thin slice of lime, breadbasket with only sourdough rolls, temperature of wine precisely at 62 degrees, every detail memorized. But that night, something was different. Victoria arrived alone, no Marcus, and she wasn't wearing her usual elegant gown. She was dressed in black from head to toe, sharp and severe like a blade. She looked angry. Whatever happened before she arrived, she was looking for someone to punish. Maya's stomach dropped when she saw the assignment sheet. She was on Victoria's table. Gerald caught her eye across the room and gave her a small, sorrowful nod, a soldier acknowledging a comrade heading into battle. Maya approached the table with perfect posture, perfect calm. She'd faced worse than this. She'd interviewed criminals. She'd confronted corporate executives hiding evidence of harm. She could handle one spoiled billionaire's wife. "Good evening, Mrs. Ashford Kaine. My name is Maya, and I'll be serving you tonight." Victoria's ice-blue eyes swept over her, assessing, dismissing, finding her unworthy of attention. Water. One word. No please, no thank you, just a command. Maya brought the water. Perfect temperature, perfect lime slice, perfect service. Victoria didn't touch it. 20 minutes passed. Maya served the appetizer, a delicate arrangement that the chef had prepared with trembling hands, knowing whose table it was for. Victoria took one bite. Then she set her fork down. This is wrong. Maya felt her heart rate increase, but kept her face neutral. I apologize, Mrs. Ashford Kaine. How can I? The sauce. It tastes different, changed. I can have the chef, Victoria laughed, a cold sound. The new chef, you mean, since you people fired Pierre based on my feedback. Now you have someone inferior and you're serving me inferior food. Do you see the irony? Maya saw it. Victoria had gotten the old chef fired, and now she was complaining about his replacement. It was a trap with no exit. I'll speak with the kitchen immediately, ma'am. No. Victoria held up one finger, stopping Maya in place. Sit down. Maya blinked. I'm sorry? Are you deaf? Sit down. The restaurant had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. Maya could feel their eyes, their fear, their relief that it wasn't them. She sat. Victoria studied her face with an expression that Maya couldn't read. You're new here. Yes, ma'am, about a month. You're older than the usual servers. Most of them are young, desperate, easy to break. You seem different. Maya said nothing. What did you do before this? Victoria asked. It was a trap. Everything with this woman was a trap. I worked in research, Maya said carefully, for a newspaper. A journalist. Victoria's eyes flickered with something. Interest? Wariness? And now you're serving food to people like me. That must be quite the fall. It's honest work, ma'am. Is it? Victoria leaned forward. Or is it something else? Are you here to write some kind of exposé, how the rich really behave, or some other sanctimonious nonsense? I'm here because I need the job, Mrs. Ashford Kaine. That's all. Victoria stared at her for a long moment. I don't believe you, she finally said. There's something in your eyes, something defiant. I don't like it. She raised her hand, signaling the manager. I want this woman removed from my table, permanently. In fact, I want her removed from this restaurant entirely. Her presence makes me uncomfortable. Maya felt something break inside her. Not her spirit, her patience. For weeks, she'd watched this woman torment people. She'd watched careers get destroyed over nothing. She'd watched grown men kneel and beg. She'd stayed silent, stayed invisible, played the game. But now, with Lily's face in her mind, with the eviction notice sitting on her kitchen table, with everything she'd worked for crumbling around her, Maya discovered something important. She had nothing left to lose. And people with nothing left to lose are the most dangerous people in the world. She looked directly into Victoria's eyes. Mrs. Ashford Kaine, Maya said quietly, I've met a lot of powerful people in my career. I've met CEOs who stole millions, politicians who destroyed lives, criminals who felt no remorse. Victoria's expression flickered. But I've never met anyone quite like you. The way you need to hurt people, the way you enjoy it, that's not power. That's something else entirely. The restaurant was dead silent. You're hiding something, Maya continued. I don't know what it is yet, but people who are this cruel, people who need to control everyone around them this desperately, they're always hiding something. Victoria's face went pale. "How dare you?" "Enjoy your meal, Mrs. Ashford Kaine." Maya stood up, untied her apron, and walked out of the Emerald Room. She was unemployed again. 3 days from eviction. No prospects, no hope. But as she walked into the cold London night, Maya felt something she hadn't felt in months. Purpose. Because she'd seen something in Victoria's eyes when she mentioned hiding something. Fear. Real, genuine fear. Victoria Ashford Kaine was hiding something. Something big. Something that terrified her. And Maya Thompson, investigative researcher, was going to find out exactly what it was. Now, friend, I have to pause here, because what Maya discovered is going to change everything you think you know about this story. But I want to make sure you're really with me. This is where it gets intense. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button for Story Buddy right now and turn on the notification bell. Part 2 is coming, and you do not want to miss what happens next. And drop a comment telling me what you think Victoria is hiding. Is it a criminal past? An affair? Something worse? Tell me your theories, because I promise you, you're not going to guess this one. Let's continue. Maya spent the next 3 weeks doing what she did best, investigating. She couldn't afford to lose her apartment, so she took a night job at a 24-hour diner. The pay was terrible, the customers were rude, but it kept the lights on. During the day, when Lily was at school, Maya researched. She started with the basics: public records, news archives, social media. Victoria Ashford Kaine, née Victoria Sterling, supposedly from old money family in Cornwall, married Marcus Ashford Kaine 14 years ago after meeting him at a charity gala. No children, known for her philanthropy and her exacting standards. The public image was perfect, too perfect. Maya knew from experience that nobody's past was this clean. Everyone had something. Old photos, newspaper mentions, school records, something. Victoria Sterling had nothing. Before her engagement to Marcus Ashford, Victoria didn't exist. Maya dug deeper. She contacted her old colleagues from the Tribune. Most were scattered now, working freelance or in different industries, but a few still had access to databases and records. "I need everything you can find on Victoria Sterling," Maya told her former partner James, before 2010. James called her back 3 days later. "Maya, there's nothing, and I mean nothing. No birth certificate under that name in Cornwall or anywhere else in the UK, no school records, no employment history. It's like she appeared out of nowhere. That's impossible. Which means Victoria Sterling isn't her real name." Maya felt the familiar thrill of a lead opening up. "Can you run facial recognition? Old photos? Anything?" "That's illegal, Maya." "James," he sighed, "I'll see what I can do." 2 days later, James sent her a file. Found something. Old talent agency website from Manchester, early 2000s. The site's been dead for years, but there's an archived version. Page 47. Tell me if I'm crazy. Maya opened the archive. Page 47 was a portfolio page for aspiring models and actresses. Cheap headshots, big dreams, desperate young people trying to escape their circumstances. 3rd row, 2nd from the left. The hair was different. Bleached blonde, overprocessed. The makeup was heavy in a trying too hard way. The clothes were cheap. But the bone structure was unmistakable. The sharp jaw, the high cheekbones, the cold determination in the eyes. Victoria Ashford Kaine. But the name under the photo wasn't Victoria Sterling. It was Vicky Marsh. Maya stared at the screen, her heart pounding. Vicky Marsh from Manchester. She ran a new search, and that's when she found it. The thing Victoria had spent 14 years and millions of pounds trying to bury. The thing that was going to change everything. Vicky Marsh appeared in news articles from 2006 through 2008. Local Manchester papers, regional tabloids, nothing major but consistent coverage. Because Vicky Marsh was involved in a scandal. A big one. In 2007, Vicky Marsh was the personal assistant to a wealthy businessman named Harold Pennington. Pennington was 67 years old, widowed, and one of the richest men in northern England. In March 2008, Harold Pennington died. His death was ruled accidental. He'd fallen down the stairs of his mansion after a night of heavy drinking. But there was a problem. Harold Pennington's family didn't believe it was an accident. His daughter, Sarah Pennington Went, publicly accused Vicky Marsh of manipulating her father. She claimed Vicky had isolated Harold from her family, turned him against his children, and was present in the house the night he died. More damning, she claimed Vicky convinced Harold to change his will 2 weeks before his death, leaving her a substantial sum. £2.3 million. The police investigated. The case went nowhere. Vicky Marsh had an alibi. Sort of. She claimed she was in her room on the other side of the mansion when Harold fell. No witnesses contradicted her. Vicky collected her inheritance and disappeared from Manchester. Sarah Pennington Wright spent years trying to prove foul play. She hired private investigators. She filed lawsuits. She gave interviews to anyone who would listen. But Vicky Marsh was gone, vanished, like she'd never existed. Until she reappeared 2 years later as Victoria Sterling, sophisticated philanthropist, at a charity gala in London, where she just happened to meet Marsh Ashford Kaine, widower, pharmaceutical billionaire, lonely and looking for companionship. Maya sat back in her chair, her mind racing. This wasn't just a fake identity. This wasn't just a woman hiding her working-class past. This was potentially a murderer who had reinvented herself to marry another wealthy older man. And she was doing it again. Maya thought about Marsh Ashford Kaine, the tired eyes, the defeated posture, the way he seemed to shrink in Victoria's presence. Was he in danger? She needed more evidence. She needed to talk to Sarah Pennington Wright. Maya found her on LinkedIn. Sarah was 52 now, running a small art gallery in York. Maya sent a carefully worded message, not revealing what she knew, just saying she was researching a story about cold cases. Sarah responded within the hour. "If this is about my father's death, I'll talk to you. I've been waiting 15 years for someone to finally listen." They met 3 days later in a quiet cafe in York. Sarah was elegant but worn. She had the look of someone who had been fighting a battle for so long that it had become part of who she was. "Thank you for meeting me," Maya said. "Thank you for asking." Sarah's voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly around her teacup. "Most people think I'm crazy, a bitter daughter who couldn't accept my father's choices. Tell me about Vicky Marsh." Sarah took a deep breath. "She appeared out of nowhere. My father met her at some business function. Within 2 months, she was his personal assistant. Within 6 months, she'd moved into the mansion. Within a year, my father had stopped returning my calls. She isolated him. Completely. She told him we were only after his money, that we didn't really love him. She intercepted calls and letters. By the end, my father believed his own children were his enemies." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. "The night he died, I had driven up from London to see him. I hadn't spoken to him in months, but it was his birthday. I wanted to try." She paused. "Vicky wouldn't let me in. She said my father didn't want to see me. I could hear music inside, a party. I stood outside in the rain, begging to see my own father. And that night, he fell or was pushed. The police said there was no evidence of foul play. But Maya," Sarah leaned forward, "my father was terrified of stairs. After my mother died, he had a lift installed in the mansion because he was too afraid to use the staircase. He hadn't walked up or down those stairs in 5 years. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "Did you tell the police this?" "Of course I did. They said grief makes people do strange things, that maybe he'd had too much to drink and forgot his fear, that maybe it was just a tragic accident." "But you don't believe that." "I know my father. He would have crawled across broken glass before he used those stairs." Sarah's voice hardened. "Vicky Marsh killed him. I've known it for 15 years, and she got away with it." She looked at Maya with sudden intensity. "Why are you really here? What's this really about?" Maya made a decision. She pulled out her phone and showed Sarah a photo of Victoria Ashford Kaine from a recent charity gala. Sarah went white. "Oh my God!" "Her name is Victoria Ashford Kaine now. She's married to Marcus Ashford Kaine, the pharmaceutical billionaire." Sarah's hands were shaking so badly she had to put down her tea. "Oh my God, she's done it again. She's found another rich widower and she's—" "Sarah, I need you to tell me everything, every detail, everything you remember." "She's going to kill him, isn't she? She's going to do it again?" Sarah's voice broke. Maya didn't answer because she was thinking the exact same thing. But then Sarah said something that changed everything. There was someone else in the house that night. Maya froze. "What?" "A maid, young, Eastern European, I think. She worked for my father for about 6 months before he died. After the funeral, she disappeared. I tried to find her, but it was like she vanished into thin air." "Do you remember her name?" Sarah closed her eyes, thinking. "Anna. Anna something. Kowalski? Kowalczyk? Something Polish, I think." "And you think she saw something?" "I think Vicky paid her to disappear, or threatened her, or both." Sarah grabbed Maya's hand. "If you can find her, if she's still alive, she might be the only person who knows what really happened that night." Maya's mind was already racing. A witness, a hidden witness who had been silent for 15 years. If she could find this woman, if Anna was willing to talk, she wouldn't just expose Victoria's fake identity. She could prove murder. Maya returned to London that night with a new mission: find Anna Kowalczyk. But Maya didn't know. What Maya couldn't possibly know was that someone had been watching her. Someone had seen her meet with Sarah Pennington Wright. Someone had photographed them together. And that someone had already made a phone call. "Mrs. Ashford Kaine, we have a problem. That waitress from the Emerald Room, she's been asking questions. The wrong kind of questions." On the other end of the line, Victoria Ashford Kaine's voice was ice cold. "Tell me everything." Now, friend, I have to stop here. I know, you want to know what happens next. Does Maya find Anna? Does Victoria discover what Maya knows? Is Marcus Ashford Kaine in danger? And what really happened on those stairs 15 years ago? All of that is coming in part 2. But I need your help. First, if you haven't subscribed to StoryBuddy yet, do it right now. Hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you get alerted the moment part 2 drops. This story is about to explode and you do not want to miss it. Second, drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from, tell me what time it is, and tell me what you think is going to happen. Will Maya find the witness before Victoria finds Maya? Is Marcus going to survive? And here's the biggest question. Do you think Victoria actually killed Harold, or is there another twist coming that none of us see? I want to hear your theories. The best comments might get featured in part 2. Third, share this video with someone who loves a good mystery, someone who loves justice, someone who needs to know that the truth always comes out. Here's what I can tell you about part 2. Maya finds Anna. But Anna isn't hiding because she's scared of Victoria. She's hiding because of what she knows, something she's never told anyone. Something that makes this whole story even darker than you can imagine. And Victoria? Victoria isn't just going to fight back.
She's going to try to destroy everything and everyone who threatens her secret, including Maya's daughter. The predator is about to become the prey. But which one is which? Part 2 is coming soon. Thank you for being here, friend. Thank you for being part of the Story Buddy family. Remember, bullies only win when good people stay silent, and this story is proof that silence never lasts forever. The truth always finds a way out. I'll see you in part 2.